All right, so today's video is going to be all about the declassified gateway experience documents released by the C to the I to the A. Way back in 2003, it became declassified. So this has been talked about. And the document was originally done, the analysis of the gateway experience was originally done in 1983. Okay. And so obviously this has been talked about before, but my goal with this is to give you a explanation along with it. A lot of people have read it, but they haven't explained it. So I'm going to explain it. And then when we get into even deeper topics, I'm going to start talking about the connections and give you actual different things to understand it. We're going to bring in external material to help you to comprehend what they're saying if we need to. Okay. So when we're talking about the gateway experience, this is something that the Monroe Institute does. Okay. They are if you look right here, or if you're listening, just listen right here, fam. The Monroe Institute is the world leader of human consciousness exploration. All right. That's what they claim. This is directly from their website. Their purpose is the global awakening of human consciousness. And their mission is to help people create more meaningful and joyful lives through the guided exploration of expanded consciousness. So, in essence, what they're doing is helping you to understand altered states of consciousness. And I literally pulled something out of the document just to give you an easier understanding of what that actually means. This is what the gateway experience is according to the analysis. And then we'll jump into the intro and what it's all about. The gateway experience is a training system designed to bring enhanced strength, focus, and coherence to the amplitude and frequency of brainwave output between the left and right hemispheres so as to alter consciousness. Okay, I'm going to stop there. And I just want you to understand that what this is about is that they're using techniques in different things to facilitate your left hemisphere of your brain and your right hemisphere to be together in coherence, is what they call it. And when they're synchronized, then it does this: it moves outside the physical sphere so as to ultimately escape even the restrictions of time space. The participant then gains access to the various levels of intuitive knowledge from which the universe offers. And it continues to go on, and we'll actually read that part again later on. That won't be today, but that'll be another day. So now that we kind of understand what the gateway experience is, it's something that the Monroe Institute was doing. And basically, the C to the I to the A was like, let me get out there and let's figure out what they're doing, because it's really interesting. So what we're going to start with is the beginning of the document. And as you can see, 1983 here in the top. And what we're working with is this is a letter that the guy who did it wrote to his commander, essentially. And so we're going to go through it, and basically we're going to read it like it's done before, but I'm also going to give you a description. This episode is going to be similar to other episodes because it's pretty self-explanatory, because it's not too difficult to understand. So we're just trying to get the context so that we can get into the 38 other sections, which are, a lot of them are very technical, and we'll bring in other knowledge, like I said. So let's just start at the top. Number one, you tasked me to provide an assessment of the gateway experience in terms of its mechanics and ultimate practicality. As I set out to fulfill that tasking, it soon became clear that in order to assess the validity and practicality of the process, I needed to do enough supporting research and analysis to fully understand how and why the process works. Frankly, sir, that proved to be an extremely involved and difficult process or business. So it was difficult to understand what they were doing here, is what he's saying. Initially, based on the conversations with a physician who took the gateway training with me, which, by the way, this implies that he was not the only one. There was many other people who did this with him, and he's giving an analysis of what happened. I had recourse to the biomedical models developed by Ishtok Bentov to obtain information concerning the physical aspects of the process. Then I found it necessary to delve into various sources for information concerning quantum mechanics in order to be able to describe the nature and functioning of human consciousness. I had to be able to construct a scientifically valid and reasonable lucid model of how consciousness functions under the influence of the brain hemisphere synchronization technique employed by the gateway. So he's trying to build a scientific model of what the gateway experience is. Once this was done, the next step involved recourse to theoretical physics in order to explain the character of the time space dimension and the means by which expanded human consciousness transcends it in achieving Gateway's objectives. Finally, I again found it necessary to use the physics to bring the whole phenomenon of out of body states into the language of physical science to remove the stigma of its occult connotations, to put it in a frame of reference suited to the objective assessment. So he's trying to put out of body experiences in a scientific point of view instead of it being like a lot of people give it a stigma because it's been associated with secret teachings and this kind of scariness before, but it's supposed to be a very objective assessment according to him. So number two, I began the narrative by briefly profiling the fundamental biomedical factors affecting such related techniques such as hypnosis, biofeedback, and transcendental meditation so that their objectives and mode of functioning can be compared in the reader's mind with the gateway experience as the model of its underlying mechanics was developed. Additionally, that introductory material is useful in supporting the conclusions of the paper. I indicate that at times these related techniques may provide useful entry points to accelerate movement into the gateway experience. I think that's pretty self explanatory. Basically, when you understand hypnosis, biofeedback, and transcendental meditation, it makes it easier to understand so that you can compare something to it. So, number three, Niels Bohr, the renowned physicist, once responded to his son's complaints about the obtuse nature of certain concepts in physics by saying, "You are not thinking, you are merely being logical." The physics of alternate human consciousness deals with some conceptualizations that are not easily grasped or visualized exclusively in the context of ordinary left brain linear thinking. So, to borrow from Dr. Bohr's mode of expression, parts of this paper will require not only logic, but a touch of right brain intuitive insight to achieve a complete, comfortable grasp of the concepts involved. Nevertheless, once that is done, I am confident that their construction and application will stand up to the test of rational critique. So you gotta open your mind. There's a Morpheus moment by him, basically saying it's not going to be super easy to understand if you're just using your left brain. You got to use your right brain as well. So, number four, paradoxically, having gone to such great lengths to avoid trying to render judgments based on an occult or dogmatic frame of reference, in the end, I found it necessary to return at least briefly to the question of the impact of the gateway experience on common belief systems. I did so because although it was essential to avoid attempting to render an assessment in the context of such systems, I felt that it was necessary after having completed the analysis to point out that the resulting conclusions do not have any violence or fundamental mainstream to the fundamental mainstream of either Eastern or Western belief systems. So it doesn't do anything to Eastern or Western belief systems, according to him. Unless that point is clearly established, unless you get that, he's saying. The danger exists that some people will reject the whole concept of the gateway experience in the mistaken belief that it contradicts and is therefore alien to all that they hold to be right and true. This study is certainly not designed to be the last word on the subject, but I hope the validity of its basic structure and of the fundamental concepts upon which it is based will make it a useful guide for other personnel who are required to take the gateway training or work with gateway materials. Signed, Wayne McDonald, Commander. Or he's Lieutenant. Lieutenant Commander. All right, and the last part here. So the gateway experience. This is the introduction, and this is the last thing. In order to describe the Monroe Institute technique for achieving altered states of consciousness, or the gateway experience, which is, again, what it is, involving brain hemisphere synchronization or hemisync, the most effective way is to begin to briefly profile the basic mechanics which underlie operation of related methods such as hypnosis, transcendental meditation, and biofeedback. It is easiest to effectively describe what gateway is by beginning with a short description of those associated techniques that share some common aspects with the gateway experience, but which are nevertheless different. In this way, we can develop a frame of reference at the outset, which will provide useful concepts to explain the understanding and understand the gateway by comparison as we proceed. Okay, that's important. So in the next episode, because that's it for this this one. This is just the intro. And the next one, it's really important to understand that hypnosis, transcendental meditation, and biofeedback. Ooh, words, right? They're different, but they're related. They share common aspects. So we're gonna go through those three in the next episode. And when we go through them, it's important to just get that he's not trying to say that that's exactly what they're doing, but that they share related aspects. So you have something to compare it to, so it doesn't seem so foreign to you that you can't even comprehend what's happening. All right. So that'll do it for today's episode. Wow, 10 minutes. That's going to be a short one. And again, on the next one, we'll discuss hypnosis, transcendental meditation, and biofeedback. And that should pop up here somewhere if you're on YouTube. If you're watching, again, you can watch these on podcast platforms such as Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you want to listen to these episodes instead. And if you are, nice, dude. And subscribe if you're on YouTube because you don't want to miss the rest, right? Well, if you do, consider it at least. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, peace.